Alright, so I was at the farm earlier cutting grass, and the fish had the audacity to jump and bust right there beside me, chasing shad. So I said, you know what, I'm going to take care of y'all here in just a little while. So we're going to do a little, not necessarily my favorite shallow shad imitators, but just some shallow shad imitators. Probably do 5 of them, good round odd number. But first we got to put a little gas in the boat. Psych, we going in the kayak. With no gas and no kayak. We'll go out in the kayak in the pond again. Now, I know I've been doing this a lot lately, kayak fishing in the pond. It's because it's a lot of fun. If you want to see me fish out of a big boat, there's a lot of stuff on my YouTube channel you can check out. Just scroll back, there's a lot of stuff me fishing in big boats and lakes. And, I mean, I like doing that too, but here lately this has been a lot more fun. You know, crankbaits, small crankbaits, maybe a chatterbait, topwater, fluke. You know, fluke's a good one. I did spinner baits and buzz baits and lipless crankbaits, which are also really like rattle trap. Those are really good. And this little sexy dog junior. I did a video a couple days ago, 5 favorite pond baits, and those were in there. So I'm not gonna try to fish and catch much on those, but I am gonna use maybe this monster bass little popper. Probably gonna go with popper, little crankbait, fluke. This shutter jig, I hadn't used it much. Shutter bait, kind of like a chatterbait, but a little different. It's got a little plastic bill, and then I'm gonna probably rig up a small swim bait, and that's really more of a mid-range to shallow. I'm gonna put it on a little 1/4 ounce head and fish it shallow some too. So that's gonna be what we're gonna go with. See if we can't catch some. Jig head's a little painted shaky head, but that'll work. Missile bait shockwave. It's gonna look a little funny. I just use a shaky head anyway, a lot of times for my jig head, but I'll use an unpainted one that's silver. It looks a little more natural, but hey, you know what? We're pond fishing, baby. So I started a new little series on the site called, or on YouTube, called Story Time, and that's where I'm gonna recount some of the things I saw and did when I was on the road. But today you're gonna get a little extra story time from the farm. This happened today. I was minding my own business, cutting a few limbs back off of the road, and my uncle was driving the truck in front of me. He apparently bumped a limb that had a hornet's nest on it. So I literally walked into a hornet's nest and they went crazy. Now, flashback, last year, July the 10th, date which will live in infamy, I got lit up in a similar way by 13 of them jokers at one time. It was intense. I got hit like 6 or 7 times in the head, a couple times in the back, shoulders, everywhere else. So it was bad. So today, I realized something's going on. I saw something kind of buzz by me, and I'm on alert, and all of a sudden I saw 3 of them go by me, and I took off running. I got hit one time in the shoulder. I was booking it. I'm talking about, you know, on a football field, flat terrain, you're looking at maybe an 8 on my 40, maybe an 8 flat on my 40, and I was at about 2.6 seconds going uphill today, including falling twice and getting up twice. Them son guys was hitting me, and I looked back, and I'm running up a hill. I wish I had a GoPro on because it was pretty intense, but I looked back as I'm running up the hill, and when I did, I face planted and scuffed my hands up. I got a band-aid on that one. Got back up, started running again, looked back again, face planted again. It was a good time. So I run right by my uncle's. He's sitting in the truck with the air conditioner going, radio playing, just minding his own business, happy as can be. He's like, oh, I wonder where Shad's going. I didn't want to get in the truck, because if I got in the truck, then they're in there with both of us. So don't worry, I didn't do it just for him. I didn't try to save his life, but I mainly just didn't want to get in there and be trapped with hornets. So long story short, a little story time for you today. Had a pretty intense run-in with hornets. So I said, I'm going fishing this evening. It's gotta be worth something, you know what I mean? I'm gonna test out my live well today since I didn't get to while fishing my tournament. Hooking with the Pope suggested that when I get out of the kayak to brace myself a little bit with the paddle, I guess kind of like a staff. So here's to you. If I fall in trying to do that today, it's on you. If it goes, great. Thank you, sir, for the tip. I'm gonna fire up the angler app just to see how many fish I can catch today. Go ahead and be recording it. Just want to see how many I can catch at 6:25. I've got about an hour and a half of daylight. I'll probably fish till about dark. I remember to even mark them. Hook my bullseye up. Alright, it's hooked up. Let's get it. Now, most any of these baits I'm going to pull out today can be used to imitate brim or herring, bluegill, you know, whatever, any other kind of bait. Just use a little bit of a color variation. Small swim bait like this, I like to just kind of do a continuous reel. Don't do a lot of action, a lot of jerking or whatever. It's just let that little tail kick. There's a certain speed you get your reel to where that tail's got the best action. And they just sit there and track it and smoke it. So this is pond fishing, and pond fishing's easy, but you know, you also kind of got to think a little bit. This is the dam, sun's still up. There's some shade up at the top end of this pond. That's where I'm gonna go fish in a minute. But if you're gonna fish on the bottom end like this, or wherever the sun is, you might need to get a little bit below the surface, or you know, it's a little deeper down here, obviously. And this is where I saw shad. So there's shad running right up there right now. This is where I saw a lot of the shad earlier. So I'm gonna try to reel this thing through some of these balls of shad and see if I can't get a bite. Oh, look, the shad are busting right there. What you'll see is those shad start to come to the surface whenever a bass, well, they kind of like to tickle on the surface anyway, then a bass will come up and bust in them. One good thing about a bait like this, a little small swim bait, is you can fish a lot of different water columns without retying. You know, if they're up along the surface, you just reel it a little bit faster. You know, like I said, there's one certain speed that your tail really operates the best. So if you want to reel it up along the surface, just kind of pick your rod up. If you want to fish a little lower, put your rod down, slow down just a little bit. And then you can really slow roll it, you know, let it fall all the way to the bottom and slow roll it back. I want to hit it, but I can't catch up to that joker. Must be tiny. He's just coming at me one. Oh, no, he ain't tiny. Oh, he come off. I guess that joker, I just turned him and he came straight to me. Dang it. I pulled a little bit right there at the end. I didn't get a real good hook set in him to start with. It's hard to set the hook in a dang kayak on something you want to really put. Actually, I thought I would have had him hooked pretty good. One thump the fire out of it right there, not slacking my line. That's surprising he didn't get it in the dang pond like this. Why in the world would he just thump it? This was a big old bluegill. Oh, I threw it back out there and he hit it sinking. It's a decent fish. Oh, that's a good one. Dang, threw water all in here. Dang. That's a pretty dang good fish right there. Good Lord. I need about a 4-foot rod and a kayak where I can get these things too. There we go. That son of a gun smoked it. I had one bump me out that way. I just kind of flipped the bait back out there. Turn around where the sun's a little better. But he smoked it. That's, like I said, a little missile bait, shockwave, swim bait. Pretty fish. Not quite 4 probably. Got a gut on it, but about 3.5. I'm gonna try out my little live well. It's a healthy fish. All right. Try out the live well here. Oh yeah. What's wrong with that? I'd like to have one like that Wednesday night. He's got a little float. He's just all right. He's got enough room to straighten out in there. All right, we'll keep an eye on him. Try that out for a little while. He jacked my bait all up. He smoked it. Boy, it was fine. Whew. So yeah, that was fun. Pretty fish. All right, we got that one in the boat. Swap over and try out a crankbait for a little while. This is a Spro Little John. Shout out to John Cruz. He's one of my buddies. I met him through the Elite Series when I was working with bass, and he's always been there for me and helped me out business-wise. You know, whenever I would have a question in the business, he's good. You know, obviously he's done well. He won the Elite Series before and started missile baits, missile jigs, done well with that, and worked closely with a lot of other companies. And so he knows a lot about the industry, and I've always valued his friendship and mentorship. So shout out to John Cruz. Y'all go check out some of his stuff, missile baits, or like I said, this is a Spro. Little John, he designed. Try out a little crankbait. So you can see the shad popping down there. I bet they're about to get rocked. One thing, if you're ever fishing on a pond or lake or whatever, river, and you're fishing around a lot of shad, and you can see them kind of getting up around the top like that, it's good to always keep a topwater rigged up and on deck, where if they come up schooling like that, you can throw to them. Little shad tip. Uh-oh. That one hit the crankbait by the time I went to pick up the paddle, but missed it. When it comes to kayak fishing, I've noticed that I prefer the hookup ratio with a treble hook bait. Seems like it's a lot easier to, you don't have to really snatch. Whereas it's hard to get a good hook set in them. There's one. See, like right there, he just kind of hooks himself. But here comes the problem. The thing I don't like about kayak fishing with treble hooks is trying to get a hold of them and get them off. It seems like there's a lot better chance of getting hooked with them kind of down here in your lap and all. Oh, see what I'm saying? Alright, well, I'm satisfied with my live well. It did good. He's fine. He's kicking around a lot. I guess I could just hang it on this too, but I didn't want it dragging that way far behind me. Let's go ahead and let him go. Pretty fish. See ya. There you go. I see where I was throwing that swim bait out a while ago and just kind of reeling it. I like to give my crankbait stuff a lot more action. Twitch it a lot, pop it, stop it. All right, see if I can get one of them shad there. I like to put a lot more action in them. So you see the shad, I don't know if you can see them real good from down low like this. Perfect. They're running pretty good right there. That would be a fish underneath them messing with them. But yeah, if you go out there and you kind of pump your bait like that around those other shad, it's probably the only one acting alone. Most of the shad are going to do the same thing, kind of swim as a ball. So work it a little bit. It looks like one's been injured, kind of something doesn't hit it or whatever the case may be. A lot of times that's when they'll single him out and get him. I think you can probably see it a little better now. See the ripple on the water? It's that ball of shad. Ain't too skittish. You can see him popping a little bit right there. Uh-oh. Got a little skittish that time. There's one. Threw back over where I caught that better one a while ago. Must be a couple of them sitting in that corner. Oh, he come off. I'm all right with that. Wasn't a very big one, and I didn't really want to fool with the treble hooks. Oh, let's do the popper. We'll swap over to the popper over here in this corner for a minute. It's a little shallower. Get over here in the shade. That feels a little better. This ought to get pretty interesting pretty quick. See, this little bait, I was throwing it a lot in a video the other day. I'll link it again below. But it's that Mad Max popper, and it's a decent little popper, but I really like it better to walk the bait. Try to get up here where y'all can tell what I'm talking about. But it's got a little chug to it, but I like to walk it like that, especially on these shad. When I'm trying to mimic shad with it, kind of hard to do it with 2 feet of line, but it walks really, really well. And when I'm imitating shad, I don't really want an aggressive pop. I just kind of want to do that walk like that. When I'm doing the brim deal, especially around like a mayfly hatch like I was doing, I kind of want to do that harder pop. But really, this is more like a little Sammy or spook, little baby walking style topwater when you walk it like that. And I like that for shad a lot better than, aggressive pop like a brim. Ooh, one come up just barely. Oh, dang it. Whoa! Oh, I'm used to dodging in a bass boat to keep from getting hooked. I tried to dodge that popper and I just about rolled the boat over. Or it felt like I did anyway to me. And the popper about got me and my GoPro about went in the water. Whew. Crisis averted. Lesson learned. maybe. We'll actually swap over to we'll pick his topwater back up there. On the real shallow end, I think I'm gonna swap over to this shutter jig for a minute. Shutter bait. I call it a shutter jig, but I think it's just called a shutter bait from Terminator. And I haven't fished this thing much, but it looks like a fun bait to throw. Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take this Missile Baits swim bait off of this shaky head and repurpose it. Little swim bait I was using to swim a while ago. I'm trying to get off here without tearing it all to pieces. You just have to shorten it up a little. We'll put this on here. Make a good little trailer. Get a little more life out of the bait. I'd put a trailer hook on that if I was gonna, was fishing a lake, a tournament or whatever. Looks pretty good. Little tail's kicking. Shad right there. I got it on braid just because I'm in this pond. Honestly, this is just one of the rods that was in the truck from where I fished the Wednesday night the other night. But my frog rod's a little heavy for this. But also being in a pond, being in a kayak, I'm not upset with it being a little stiffer than normal because I can probably get a little better hook set on them with something like this. I'd probably just use like a 7-foot or a 7.3 medium heavy, and this is a 7.3 heavy. But just like it right there, when they hit it, I can't really snatch real far, but I can still get, oh, that's a pretty good fish. I can still get a pretty good hook set in. That's another pretty good one. They're fighting so hard in this pond. Oh, I wish I had a trailer hook. Oh, I wish I had a net. I wish I had anything. Any kind of help here would be greatly appreciated. Dang. Man, it's pretty. These are some healthy fish. These fish in this lake are only 2 years old. Isn't that amazing? We completely restocked it from scratch. Drained the water out. Look at that fish. That's unreal. Good hook on this thing. Got him good. That's pretty. Nice. What's up, buddy? You go. That's one reason I want to use my angler app in the pond too, is because I got in here with about an hour and a half to fish with the intention of marking as many fish catches as I could. And as soon as I got to fishing, I started catching fish, and I haven't marked one yet. And that is a good reason to do this in a pond, because I do that on the lake too. I'll forget and I won't mark my first 2 or 3 fish, and then I'll think, dang, I wish I'd been marking them. I forgot. So I'm just gonna go ahead and mark. I think I've caught 5. So even though they're not gonna be in the right location, I'm just gonna go ahead and mark all 5 of them right quick. And then I'll be able to get my score tracker number up at least to where I'm at. All right, one more. And again, I'm not going to do it today because I just did a video on it. I'll link it below too, but I just did a video using it. Lipless crankbait is probably, if I had to pick one bait up and throw it out here the whole time just to catch as many fish as I could, I'd probably go with that. It's just a really good pond bait. I was throwing a rattle trap the other day, and I think that was one of the baits. I caught one on my first cast with 2 different baits. I think that was one of them. If you're trying to mimic any kind of bait fish, especially shad, a rattle trap, that's hard to beat. Go back to the popper for a while. This ought to get fun again real quick with the popper. A bass is a bass, even in a pond. They're easier to catch, obviously, but they're still gonna have a lot of the same traits and behavioral stuff that they have in lakes and rivers and public bodies of water. So they're a lot easier to catch. But I put in down there and I went, all the way to here. I've only caught 5. That's the sunny end. You can see where the sun's been shining down there. It's still shining down there. It's been shady up here for a little while. And I guarantee you I'll catch more than 5 on this half from here on around. It'll be a lot more aggressive up here. Plus, I wasn't able to get a bite on top. I got one bite on top water, like a little one. But like down through here, they'll be rocking on top water. Oh, there's one. Boy, he smoked it. Dang. He ain't that big. He got me all spun around. Fired up. I'm going to go ahead and hit the button. As Dustin Connell would say, dang. I didn't say dink, I said dang. That was a bite right quick once we got to the shade. I think it's just going to be one a many. See the shad moving down here too. The shad like it better. A little cooler. Oh God, they are smoking this. Oh my gosh. That was scary. When they hit it, they are smoking it. I'm gonna get hooked in a minute. I ain't never been hooked in all my life. First week in the kayak, I done about got hooked 10 times. I mean, I've been hooked but never passed the bar, but I feel like that is a quickly evaporating statement. I hadn't gone, 50 feet since I hit this shade. It's been shady a while and they are smoking it. Kind of hard to work a topwater in a kayak. Kind of strenuous. My shoulder's starting to get a little tight. Just like in this boat, I'm just a little lower. Shad are popping right out there. Oh man, I was hung up in a tree and one come up and got it while I was hung in the tree. That's when you know you're good. Like, I mean, a lot of people, and it's a brim on top of that. Like, there's some good fishermen in the world, but I would just have to argue that I'm probably the best. Because y'all probably thought when I threw up in that tree that I was an idiot. But I don't like to eat bass. So now I've caught dinner while filming a video. So y'all just don't know how good I really am. Get out of here, perch. Get out of here. Go ahead and put on one more shad imitator that I like. I lost my dadgum little rod holder, which was so convenient. Fishing a night derby out of this kayak like a ding dong against bass boats. Link below, check it out. It was pretty fun actually, but I did have my rod kind of hung around it, I guess. When I went to pick up the rod, it slung it in the water. But anyway, one time on a fluke, a BMC 5 extra wide gap hook here. Sometimes I just use a worm hook, but the hook I got with me. So, try this out. This is another really good, it's old school here. This is really one of the best shad imitators out there, just this old simple zoom fluke. If you really look at how a shad acts whenever it's kind of dying, fluttering, twitching along if it's been struck, that's what this thing looks like under the surface. And if you got shad, you need to have a fluke rigged up. It's pretty hard to beat. Let's try it out. Let's see if we can't catch a couple. Just rig it like a Texas rig, but with no weight. I always like to have a little bit of a bend in my back. It seems to work a little better. I give y'all enough time to see that, but a little bit of a bend where my hook came out. Kind of put up a little too much of the bait in front of the hook, and then bend it back up some. I've got this on braid again because I'm in this pond down in my kayak, and it's kind of hard to set the hook. But I'd usually either use it on fluorocarbon or maybe even a braid to fluoro leader. There's a lot of good fishing left on that end of the pond, but I'll go ahead and cut across over here. It's getting a little late. Go ahead and try to catch one on this fluke. After that, I think we'll pick that shutter bait back up. That was kind of fun. It's kind of exciting. It's hard to tell from down in a kayak, but it kind of walks under the surface like a spook on top. It's just down under the surface a little bit. I already tell you, it's going to be a little bit difficult to set the hook on this thing if I get out of position. Uh-oh. You want to give them a second to eat this too. You don't want to just snatch. It's not like a treble hook bait where you just pull back. You want to give them a second to make sure they got it. You can even kind of just reel check them just a little bit. Just mainly make sure that your line's swimming off, that they got the bait, because they don't really spit this out very often. You can see it here working in the water, but it just kind of hard to work it right real close to the boat, but just kind of flutters along, twitch it, it kind of comes up to the surface. Looks like a shad dying along the surface. Notice earlier too, when you see those shad ticking the surface, it's kind of what it looks like when you twitch this thing. It just kind of comes up and kisses the surface. This has surprisingly been one of the tougher baits to get bit on. I just keep throwing it to kind of show a fish catch on it, but this is one of the better baits for lakes, and it's probably because, you know, it's a finesse deal. It's better for high pressured fisheries, and you know, these little ponds and stuff. The better bait a lot of times just something, you know, aggressive like a spinnerbait or a chatterbait or a buzzbait, something they can find real easy and they'll smoke it. But you got to kind of hit them on the head with this, and I have not hit one on the head, surprisingly. Kind of hard to get hooks there. A little bitty guy. He come up and swatted at it one time. Come up and got it. Barely got a hook set in him. Anytime I try to tell y'all about something, whether I'm fishing a lake or pond or river or whatever, I try to go ahead and catch fish on it where you know. Not BSing you, you know. But I'll tell you, that took a lot longer to get bit on that bait than I thought it would. That's such a good lake bait, but around shad, you know. I guess I gotta hit them right on the head in here, and I just hadn't hit them on the head with it to that little guy there. Now, I was up here the other day putting deer feed in that feeder right there, and they were knocking shad up on the bank under these trees, and it was so rude and unnecessary and hurtful. Let's see if I can get them back. One board on it. Missed him. Nope, he coming. I can't get a hook set in this thing. I'm not a little bitty guy. No wonder. That's not what was knocking shad up on the bank. Still toying with me. I'm just going to start keeping a rod in the truck and I'm end up getting fired because I'm fishing. I'm supposed to be working. I feel like I'm having to learn all over again. That's what's funny about this deal. I feel like I'm having to learn all over again. That's what's funny about this deal as far as kayak fishing goes. Like, I'm having to learn how to set the hook again. Having to learn. That was a very good example there, and I'm about to do another one of knowing my surroundings, being aware of my surroundings again. And I got on this dadgum tree, and I got two rods sticking up, or a rod sticking up behind me. Try to get up my ear, but it's like a whole new world, which is fun. I mean, it's, you know, so it's kind of gotten boring for me. Which, I mean, I know it's, I feel bad for just saying that, because I mean, I'm very lucky to get the fish out of a bass boat as much as I do. But it's just, it's not fun anymore. If it's not fun, it's very expensive to not have fun. So I wanted something different. I'm enjoying the fire of this. And we'll swap up to the shutter bait for a minute. Got some monster moccasins out here, and that's all I'm worried about. I'm not even trying to get unhung right now. I'm trying to get off the freaking bank. Ooh, look at that ball of shad right there. See if there's anything underneath them. Right at the boat. There's some fish. One thing that Fluke Master said, you get a lot more bites right at the boat in this thing than you do in a bass boat. I've seen that already a couple times. Shockwave trailer. Good. With a spinnerbait, chatterbait, something like this shutterbait here, about anything like that, crankbait like square bill, I like to add a little action to it. I'll reel it, you know, but also kind of pop it, and that's gives it a little pulse, gives it a little something extra. Maybe following it, and then when you stop it like that, they smoke it. But it's also really good, you know, you fish a lot of this stuff around hydrilla and other types of vegetation. So when you pop it like that, a lot of times you'll go ahead and knock off a little blade of trash or something, even if you don't feel it. You know, it'll snatch it on off of there. So it's good for a couple of reasons, but I like to give it a little pump, pause, you know, get a little burst, a little different feel to it. There's one. Looks like a decent one. Turning the boat mighty fast. Golly, these fish are strong. Not even that big, I don't think, but it's pretty good one. Let's turn this boat in a heartbeat. Golly, you wasn't done fighting, was you, buddy? You ain't even that big at all. You smoked it. Spun the boat around. Aye. Aggressive little rascals. There's one. That's a decent one. I was saying too earlier about, you know, how these pond fish still behave like a lake fish. I came down this dam earlier and only got a couple bites, and I've already had a couple right here just starting back on it in this corner. So yeah, they're more fish in a pond. Obviously they are more aggressive, but they'll still behave similar to bass in a lake, and that there's certain times they feed better. You know, a lot of the behavioral stuff's the same. Certain times they're a lot more aggressive. They're still, you know, a bass is a bass, but pressure is the main thing. That's what changes it from pond fishing to lake fishing, just number of fish and pressure. There's one. Looking pretty good. He's just digging, boy. Oh yeah. Another decent one. Oh, they're so strong. Golly. Kind of digging the shutter bait. Oh, look at the ripple paddle. You can't help but belly dance them in the kayak to try to get them over here so we can get a hold of them. Dang. Another decent one. First time I fished a shutter bait much. Finally messed up my trailer. Like 5 or 6 fish. Forgot to hit the angler button again several times. The bullseye. But that's what happens when you're having fun. Say this about this shutter bait. This thing's designed for big bites, big fish. I mean, it's got a massive, strong hook on it. I'm fishing on a 7.3 heavy. Again, I wouldn't usually be doing that, but I'm just doing it. This missile baits. Shockwave's about had it, but it's been about 10 fish on it. But this thing's got some pretty heavy duty components. And I've been fishing them on this 7-foot 3-inch heavy, and I, you know, hadn't bent the hook any. One problem with a lot of baits similar to this, a lot of, you know, this isn't exactly like a chatterbait, but there's a lot of chatterbait remakes that have a real flimsy hook, and that'd be a big downfall, because chatterbait, vibrating jig, stuff like this, shutterbait, spinnerbait, buzzbait, those baits are all made for, you know, big fish. They need to be anyway, because you get big bites on them. If you throw a little old wimpy hook in there, messes up the whole deal when you lose that big one. From hooking with the Pope, he said to try to exit from the side of the kayak while stabilizing myself with the paddle. Now I don't know if he means stabilizing from this side. I turn and get out on the other side. That feels pretty good. Wasn't as bad, but I don't even know if I was doing it right. But I got out, so I guess I was. That was the goal. Get out, don't get wet. Anyway, appreciate it. You guys see me doing a bunch of goofy stuff on here because I don't know anything about kayak fishing. Definitely let me know. Give me any kind of pointers y'all got. Greatly appreciated. And that's it. Another episode of Who Knows What's Gonna Happen with Shay Baker.